Hey crazy friends.
Hey guys.
It's Jay and Francis back with Find You're Crazy. We're here with another National Park family tour guide.
Yay.
Today we're going to be talking about the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. This is actually part 2 of our video. First part was the North Carolina side. Today we're going to be talking about the Tennessee side. Stay tuned. So we are a family of 9 living full-time in our RV with 6 of our kids as we travel around the country to visit every national park. And as we visit those, we want to share them with you so that you can learn from us to find out how you can maximize those parks. So today we're going to be talking about part 2 of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And throughout this video, we're going to share with you our must-sees and our family pro tips. Now, some of those family pro tips will be the same as if you watched our first half of our video because they're just specific to the actual park. This park was so big we had to divide it up into 2 videos, but some of them will be unique to this. And of course, all the must-sees will be unique to the Tennessee side of the park. So if you're thinking about the park, it is shaped kind of like a big egg on its side with the Tennessee-North Carolina state line running right through the middle of it, and it easily divides the park up into those 2 pieces. The park is so big that it's really hard to do from one place, which is what we did. We stayed in Cherokee on the North Carolina side, but we wished we hadn't.
We really wish we had stayed on both sides of the park. So that is actually one of our family pro tips, is that you should, to maximize what is going on and the sights to see and the beauty and the towns and all of the things that each part of the park has to offer, you really want to stay on both sides because we spent a lot of time driving, which was nice the first couple of times. But then after we'd gone over the mountain several times, our kids were a little over it and the drives got to be long and we really weren't able to dig in like we would want to and spend that time there. And so we wish, and you should, stay on both sides of the park.
As we talked about last time, you can really organize the park kind of by its main tourist cities. Each of the main gates has a main tourist city outside of it. We talked about the 2 on the North Carolina side last time. And this time we're going to talk about Gatlinburg and Townsend. But even though it's divided into 2, there's still a lot to do, which brings us to our second family pro tip, and that's get organized. In fact, we found a great app that we shared with you last time called the National Park Trails Guide. It's not specific to just Great Smoky Mountains, but Great Smoky Mountains is in it. And one of the reasons that we love it is because it allows other people to rank some of these, they call them gems, our must-sees, they call them gems.
I love that feedback, yes.
To rank what's in there, and there's also a whole section for family-friendly activities, and it lets you look also at the hikes to see, is this going to be right for our family, or is this going to be a little too strenuous
so
for our
valuable.
family? So definitely get that app, dig into some of those things, and it'll help you get organized as you begin your adventure on the Tennessee side of the park. our first stop on the Tennessee side is Gatlinburg. You can't talk about tourist cities without talking about Gatlinburg. It's probably like the most famous and visited tourist city. And really, that is all it is. It is just a tourist city. It's the restaurants,
so fun,
it's the shops, it's the t-shirts, it's the putt-putt. So many things to do and nothing to do there but tourist stuff. But you know what? That really makes it neat because that means that inside of that little area, there is something for everybody in your family.
And so I would say our next family pro tip would be to take into account that you have different ages and different personalities. So when you visit something like a huge national park, there is so much to do within the national park that those of your family that are not adventure buffs, those that maybe don't love the hiking, they kind of want a cup of Starbucks and they want to eat some yummy food from a restaurant, and maybe they want to go shopping for a little while. I would say for our family, we have a lot of kids. We have lots of different ages, so we have a huge gap from 21 years old all the way down to an 8-year-old, and they're very different. And so some love to be outside chasing snakes, and others, they want to look at monograms, and they want to go get some yummy coffee. And so in order to make a wonderful experience for your family, I would encourage you to take some one-off days and look around and find something that will be fun for everybody. And I will tell you, every single person had a great time in Gatlinburg.
Gatlinburg is a great place to do that because there is so much stuff to do there. And we did a little bit of all of that. And so our next must-see, though, is actually right off the street in Gatlinburg. The main strip of Gatlinburg's got all the things that you would think of, the t-shirt shops and stuff, but we found an amazing little side street called the Village Shops. I would definitely say a hidden gem. It's got just a very different feel, look. The shops are different. We spent more time there in that little area than we did all the rest of Gatlinburg combined. And while you're there, you have to stop at the Donut Friar.
So good.
Amazing donuts, but the eclairs, you have to get an eclair.
And the donuts are good too.
Just crazy good. So you definitely, while you're in Gatlinburg, you do some stuff for everybody, but be sure to go to the Village Shops. And then once you've spent a day or 2 days, we went back 2 different times, but once you've spent your time there doing the tourist stuff, you actually have another opportunity to get into kind of a unique part of the national park. Just off of the main road in Gatlinburg, you turn up and you go not in the main entrance but in a side entrance, and you get to experience the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. That is our next must-see. The Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. It is just a one-way loop drive up through the mountains, and it is scenery that's unique to anything else that we saw in the park. The main road that goes over the mountain that right by Klingman's Dome, those things are beautiful, but this was a completely different area because you kind of go deep into the woods, and so you really feel like you could just kind of be foraging through the forest. I mean, almost like you're on a horse and buggy going through there. Really, 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 really neat. Our kids loved it because it was so unique. I mean, like faces pressed to the glass driving through
we
there.
saw a black bear there, and also there were a lot of little stops along the way, and so it was a great opportunity for little legs to get out and look around, but it also allows just continued history to come alive. And so there are stops along the way, so it is a drive, but you'll enjoy getting out and getting a little history, seeing how life was like, letting it come alive to you and your family. And also maybe you'll get to see some wildlife. I hope so.
And it's just a great balance to Gatlinburg. You get the tourist stuff in Gatlinburg, and then you get to take a couple
hours. It's literally off the road. Like,
and it's
crazy.
not long. So, I mean, it's really easy to just pop over and do that and then be back in Gatlinburg for dinner.
Get your coffee, get your fun donut, and then head on up there so you get your adventure buffs get fun, and then those shopping girls get to do their thing. Everybody is happy in that Gatlinburg area.
Great opportunity. So if you're doing Great Smoky Mountains with a family or with children, or really if you're doing any national park with children, you need to participate in our next family pro tip, and that is the Junior Ranger program.
Yes.
The Junior Ranger program is an amazing program that they have not just at Great Smoky Mountains, not just at all the national parks, but at something like 200 of the national sites, battlefields, monuments. And it gives kids an opportunity to really get immersed in the nature, the history, and the culture of whatever that experience is. What they do is you go up and you just tell them you want to participate in the Junior Ranger program. Most of them are free. A few of them are a couple of bucks for the book. They give you a book to go through. The book is age specific. There's usually 1 or 2 books at each location for different ages, and then within each book they're divided again by ages. And so if you're 7, you only do 3 of the activities. If you're 10, you do 4 of them.
That's great.
So it's really, really user friendly. And then you just go through and you do the activities in the books. Some of them are simple things like word searches that have to do with the history, but most of them have you walking through the museums, talking to the rangers, reading the signs, hiking the trails, and looking for specific things along the way. And once you've completed your book, then it's time for the reward. You go back and you get sworn in as a Junior Ranger, and you get a cute little badge.
That's right. So Sky brought her badge so that you can see what it looks like. Perfect. So what did you think about the Junior Ranger program? What is your thoughts about that?
It was really fun because in your book you get to find a lot of stuff, kind of like a scavenger hunt.
It's kind of like a game, right?
Yeah.
And did you enjoy like all the things that it asked you to do and the things that you learned? Yeah. What was your favorite thing that you did in the part of it? Is it the book? Or is it the badge?
The badge.
The badge, the payoff is so much fun. And, it's wonderful because it really is really up to you how you do the book. It can be for each child gets to choose. If you've got one who loves to read, they can do some of that. If you have some that enjoy writing, they can write out things. If you have those that love to draw, they get to draw different things in their books.
They do a good job of balancing the activities.
They do. And so you can really make it personal to your family and each child can have their book be their own. We actually use it as our homeschool curriculum for history and science. When we are at the national parks, many people ask us what we use, and when we're there, that's what we're digging into. They do such a great job, and we leave the park not just with our photos, but we leave with so much history and so much knowledge on a kid's level, not on the adults level. And so between our friend Dipsy Jim and between the Ranger program, we learned so much about that. Are you looking forward to finding out some more badges and learning more things?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we do have a question. So the question is, do we like putting our badges in this Dollar Tree box, or would we rather put it up somewhere creatively?
Put it up somewhere creatively.
That's right. So we have a question. If you have a family pro tip on how you display your children's badges, I would love to hear that.
In your Ranger program, you got an idea?
Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know your tip.
Could you raise your right hand for me? The other right hand. Yes, there we go. All right, repeat after me, okay? As a Junior Ranger, I will help protect the plants and animals of Great Smoky Mountain National Park, and help keep the air, land and water clean. I will continue to learn more about the park. So when I return home, I will keep the area around me safe and clean. Good job, everybody.
Nice.
Here's your badge.
now that you're done up in Gatlinburg, you're ready to move around to Townsend, the next city, but it is very different from Gatlinburg.
Completely.
Gatlinburg is all about the tourist and the hype and the mayhem. Townsend is just a quiet little place. In fact, if you're RVing, we stayed, like we said, on the Cherokee side the entire time. If we had stayed on both sides, Townsend's where we would have stayed. So if you've got an RV, this is definitely where you want to look. It is a great opportunity, really quiet, lots of mom and pop stuff. And that's actually our next pro family tip, is for you to find a mom and pop restaurant there in Townsend to eat at.
Yes.
I don't think we saw a single chain restaurant when we were there.
No.
And we went in. It's a great little place to go, to stop, to have a quiet and fun little lunch, to get fueled up before you head into our next must-see, which is Cades Cove. This is not only a must-see in this video, it is actually our number one overall Great Smoky Mountains must-see. Yeah. If you could only do one thing in all of Great Smoky Mountains, Cades Cove Drive, it would definitely be it. Yes. So Cades Cove is an 11-mile one-way loop through the Cades Cove Valley, there on that side of the park, and the views are breathtaking.
Spectacular.
You just can't even you can't even take it in. You can't take enough pictures. You can't show enough video to be able to really understand and appreciate the opportunity that you have to go through there. But not only is it the beauty, but there's also a ton of history as you go through, and so you want to make sure that you plan to make a lot of stops as you're going through Cades Cove,
because it is a long drive. So it doesn't matter when you go. There's going to be a lot of people there with you, and so sometimes you're bumper to bumper to bumper.
You think 11 miles, it's going to be 3 or 4 hours.
It is. It really is, and you need to make sure that you're prepared for that. Bring your snacks and your water bottles. But I will tell you, it is beautiful, but it gives you lots of opportunities to get out and to stretch those little legs or those big legs and look at some of the beauty, because you really can't appreciate it all inside of your car. When you get out, it is just a vista. It is a pasture land that is incredibly beautiful, and it's just encircled by the mountains, and it is iconic. And so you want to get out, but not only just to see the beauty. Hopefully you're going to have some wildlife that you can watch as well, because we saw several bears and took lots of pictures, and that certainly slows things down for a good reason. But there's also tons of cabins. There are churches and all kinds of homesteads that our children love to get out and experience.
That's our next must-see. Even though Cades Cove is our must-see, within Cades Cove, our next must-see is you have to stop and see at least one church and at least one cabin.
Absolutely.
There's actually 3 churches and several homesteads, and you want to stop and see a bunch of them. We did, but you definitely want to stop and see at least one, to see that history. It really just a way to make it so come alive. And if you want it to come alive even more, that's our next pro family tip, is Gypsy Guide Tours. We talked about this in the last video. This is an amazing app. There is a small cost to it, but it's worth it.
100%.
You download it, and then what it does is it uses GPS technology to tell you about the history of the area that you're driving through. It was amazing throughout the entire park. We would have paid the full price just for the Cades Cove part. Because of he talks about the different homesteads and the people that live there, the families that were there, the different style cabins, the different type barns. And so when we would stop at those places,
our kids were ready to go. They would jump out, because really sometimes if you're just seeing cabin after cabin after cabin, they look alike. And a church after church after a church, you're like, okay. But what he would do is point out the unique things. He would tell the story of that homesteader. It was funny. He would tell little folklore, little nuggets that our kids would jump out of the car. There was one in particular that there was this cabin, and this person had created almost like a sink where the water would come down and he would wash his hands and have it right in his, and it was kind of a new thing. It was a really special thing. So when our kids got out, they couldn't wait to see what this old time sink looked like. It was just a log, and they would have great opportunities for it to be exciting, and it's not just the same thing one after another, because sometimes kids are not super excited about the same thing over and over again. You want to make it exciting and new and different, and they're learning something. We all learned something. out from that opportunity. So we would say Gypsy Tour Guide is absolutely a must-have for you and your family.
Especially on this drive, again, just because there is so much. I mean, our kids would wait for him to pop on and start talking again.
They love him.
Yeah, it was really, we got to jokingly calling him Gypsy Jim.
Gypsy Jim. So if you hear us talking about Gypsy Jim, he's just like our family member.
Yeah, he's like one of the family members in the car now. But Cade's Cove was just unbelievable. We would suggest that you plan to take an entire day, eat an early lunch in Townsend, take a picnic dinner with you, and plan to take a long time slowly going through it, stop and see a lot of those activities, a lot of those cabins.
And there is a visitor center too there.
At the very end of it, there's a visitor center.
Yes, and so our kids, they have a book where we can get the passport stamp. So if you're doing that, know that there are several within the park, and Cade's Cove is one. So if you're collecting those stamps.
They have a working mill there.
Yeah. Oh, we did get out. I forgot about that. Our kids even got to see some cornmeal that was freshly ground that day, and a man talking to us. I tell you, Great Smoky Mountain National Park does a great job for all of us to learn and not just come and see the sights, but feel like we've left with a little piece of the park in our hearts.
You like cornmeal?
Smell like cornbread.
Like cornbread? Like cornmeal?
You like cornbread? You like hush puppies?
Yes,
You
sir.
like corn dogs? What about Doritos, Fritos, Cheetos, nachos, cookies, tacos, Pepsi, frosted flakes, corn flakes, fruit loops, corn, smiling fried oats, fried catfish, fried green tomatoes?
All of the above.
All right, guess what? All that is made out of cornmeal.
As you can see, Cade's Cove is absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful anytime. We went in the early summer, but we heard while we were there that the fall is just amazing.
The leaves changing.
Yes, so we have a question for you. What is your family pro tip you would share with us? Is it worth taking an extra trip back and kind of fighting the crowds? We've heard it's pretty crowded, bumper to bumper there. It takes a lot longer, but is it worth it to go to Cade's Cove in the fall in the comment box? Because we want to know if we should make a special trip for those fall leaves.
So there it is. That's our must-sees and our family pro tips for the Tennessee side. Now, if you've seen both videos, you've got the entire park. You've got everything you need to go out and have an amazing, amazing time.
Pack your bags now and make it your next national park, because it is awesome. Okay guys, we love the community that we're building here, and so we want to hear from you. We read and we respond to every comment. So we had two questions in this video we want your opinion on. Number one, what are you doing with all your ranger badges? I need to know how to store these. And number 2, do you think we should take a special trip back to Cades Cove in the fall?
So there it is. If you found this video helpful, please give us a like. You can also subscribe to make sure you don't miss off any of our National Park Family Tour guides. But also you can catch our weekly family travel blog and find out what we're doing as we're going from National Park to National Park. And if you missed the first half of this video, the North Carolina side, you can click it right down there as well. Until next time, go out and have some crazy fun with your crazy family.
Bye,
See you
guys.